Hey, what's up, everybody? Chicago Goon here, bringing another Arsenal talk. In this Arsenal talk, I'll cover the Stoke City game, and then also there's a couple of nuggets as far as the transfer window goes. But on to the Stoke City game. Um, what a great game to watch. I mean, maybe the last like 10, 15 minutes was um, somewhat. It was almost like a training ground type thing. Uh, to where it was almost, the last like 15, 20 minutes of the game felt like they went on forever because there wasn't really much going on. There was a couple chances by Arsenal, but it just seemed like we took we took our foot off the pedal, obviously, because um, Stoke didn't even get off the bus. To be honest with you, I mean, the way they played against us at their place, as opposed to the way they played us on Sunday, it was just like two different teams, to be honest with you. And that's who Stoke City is. They played their style at home. More of a rugby, more of a rugby style, more of a physical style. Of course, they tried to play that today, but we were physical too. We didn't back down from their physicality. You kind of saw that in a lot of the players today, as far as like Coughlin. You saw even Murdersacker pushing people around a little bit. Of course, Giroud and Shawcross were going at it pretty much throughout the first like about 60 minutes of the game. You were kind of scared there for a second because there was a couple like forearms and stuff that Giroud threw, but if you don't get caught doing it, if you don't get, anything called against you, why not do it? Because that's what Stoke City does for 90 minutes. A lot of games where they're just overly physical. They're not playing within the rules of football. It's there's ways to be physical within the rules, but Stoke City they take it to a entirely different level. They don't. They make up their own rules, so to speak. I mean, you saw the Nakovic challenge on Debussy within the first, what was it, like 10 minutes, 8 minutes of the game, which was uncalled for. I mean, it was just a needless challenge. There was no need to give him a forearm and push him, and almost kind of do like a small body check. There was no need for it, and of course, the result was a dislocated shoulder. Um, if the FA doesn't go back and look at this, I mean, the ref was shocking today. It was just a shit show again, once again from the FA referees. I mean, who knows what happens to these guys? I'm a broken record when it comes to this stuff, and it's just frustrating. It's really frustrating to watch these guys run onto the pitch. They're there to protect the players. They're there to make things right. And so far this year, it's just not with Arsenal. It's with everybody. You can pinpoint 3, 4 games during a weekend where the referee, was behind the 8 ball, who couldn't control a game, who weren't calling the right type of fouls, who was letting a game get too physical, where players get hurt, and that's what happened today. If the FA doesn't go back and review this and do something to the Stoke City player as far as a suspension goes, because um, he didn't even get a talking to. He didn't get a yellow card, which it should have been a yellow card. It was a dangerous challenge, and of course you saw the result of it: a dislocated shoulder. And as far as Debussy goes, you don't know how long he's going to be out for. You don't know the severity of the dislocated shoulder. It could be 2 weeks, it could be 8 weeks. He could even need, with a dislocated shoulder, you just don't know, because sometimes you need to do an MRI a day or two later after the injury to see if there's any type of damage to his ligaments and to his joints and into the bone and muscle and everything. Because with a dislocated shoulder like that, there's a possibility he might need surgery. You just don't know. You don't know until you have that MRI to really look inside the shoulder and see what's happening. So, and if that's the case, if he needs surgery, he's done for the rest of the year. I think a shoulder surgery like that, if he needs surgery, obviously, is like 4 to 5 months on the shelf. because he needs his time for his whatever's damaged inside of his shoulder to heal. And of course, it's just a shit show out there with the FA refs. Uh, Week in and week out. Especially with Arsenal fans, we have a history of this with referees, where especially with Stoke City, where they just let them get away with just about anything they want to. I mean, Stoke City didn't get any type of yellow card until the second half. I mean, that's how much of a joke it was. The same thing when we played them at their place. It was the same damn thing. You could have made a case that Peter Crouch could have been sent off in that game at their place. Charlie Adams as well, with his chokehold on Alexis Sanchez. Nothing was done. I think it took 3 elbows for Peter Crouch to get a yellow card in the last game at Stoke City. And then this game, he threw 1 elbow. Monreal, and again, I think Monreal is going to need some stitches because there's blood coming out. There's obviously a cut on his face, right above his eye line, I think. And finally a card comes out. The Arsenal fans were cheering when he finally brought out a yellow card, when he should have brought out yellow cards much more sooner than that. On the Narcevic challenge, should have been a yellow card, because that's dangerous. That's a dangerous challenge that you just don't. It was needless. And of course, now a player is out for anywhere from 2 weeks to possibly the end of the season, because he decided just to push around somebody and be physical, which is fucking ridiculous. When the FA is going to step up and do something about this, to tell the referees, you better start doing your job, because they're not, obviously. They're not protecting the players. They're not, and something more like this is going to happen, week after week, game after game, where you're going to see one of a starter, starting 11, miss parts of the season because of a needless challenge. And I hope something is done about this. I hope that Narcevic gets at least a 1 week, a 1 game suspension, because that's what he deserves for a challenge like that. It's just ridiculous. But it's again, it's unfortunate. It's our luck that once a player does come back from injury, he's showing promise, obviously, to get back match fit and get back into the side and make a difference for us. And he's out injured again. But Hector Bellerin came in. He's getting better game by game. You're seeing it. You're seeing his confidence grow as well. The only thing that he lacks right now is a body. I think he needs to hit the weight room at some point. Probably this summer, maybe even next summer. It's probably going to take a couple years to really develop his body to get that strength. Get the strength of a Debuchy, or a Bakary Sagna, who weren't like the tallest guys of the world, but they had a body. They were able to outmuscle wingers and attackers whenever they kind of want to, and they can be physical. But he did well today. He tracked back. He got the ball back several times. He made a couple great defensive plays to get the ball back, and it was just great to see. It's great to see that a kid can come off the bench like that and make immediate impact. And his name is going to be called for a lot of the rest of the season, depending on how long Debuchy is going to be out. Of course, it puts us again behind the 8 ball. Colin Chambers is going to be asked again to play in that right back position starting next week. Unfortunately, again, it's going to be against Manchester City. Throwing them to the wolves once again. We've recalled Coughlin from Charlton. Is there a very good possibility, especially if Debuchy is out for the rest of the season or for a length of time? Is it a possibility that Arsenal will recall Carl Jenkinson? It's a very good possibility, because he's playing very well for West Ham. Of course, when someone's on loan and you're trying to give him confidence and you're trying to get him experience, you're trying to get him as many games as possible, you do not want to do that. But it might happen just because of the fact that we might be in an emergency crisis here. Because if Debuchy is out for the entire season, depending on what the MRI says. But it's a possibility because I don't see Arsene Wenger going out there and buying another right back or even possibly getting one on loan. Especially with Colum Chambers there and of course Hector Bellerin. But again, we still need that center half regardless now, especially if Debuchy is out for any length of time. Um, but other than that, like I said, we did play physical as well. We gave them a little bit of taste of their own medicine. With Conklin being back there, making cracking, sliding tackles a lot of times. Rosicky was being physical. Even Santi was being physical. I mean, Santi was all over the place today. He played his butt off. He didn't score a goal. He didn't grab an assist, but he was everywhere. He was really making a nuisance of himself. He was trying to get the ball back, really playing well defensively as well too, really tracking back and that was basically like a team win. Yes, Alexis Sanchez was the man of the match, and what he did kind of like overshadowed everybody else. But that's just what happens when you're a world class player and you play that well. But Santi was everywhere. Oxlade Chamberlain had a lot of different chances today. Again, what Alexis Sanchez is doing is really rubbing off on Oxlade Chamberlain, and it's fun to see. It's fun to watch. I hope that Theo Walcott, when he's going to be injected back into a starting 11 consistently, that he sees that he does that, he starts doing that. Like even like a Mesut Ozil, even like an Aaron Ramsey. Of course, with Aaron Ramsey, you don't have to ever question his hustle and his desire. He's always doing the box to box stuff. He's a classic box to box CM, so you never really have to question his heart or his desire or his work rate. But as far as a Mesut Ozil, even a Theo Walcott, they don't have the greatest work rates as far as when tracking back, obviously, but. It was just a great team win by everybody. They really went out there and imposed themselves. Against Stoke City. I don't know if that was their B team today or their C team. They just didn't look interested from the start of the game to the end. I mean, by the time I think by the time the second score happened with Alexis Sanchez's first goal, it just seemed like they shut off completely. They just had nothing going on. They had nothing. They had really no heart. They look like us through 90 minutes of what we look like in the first half when we played them at their place. That's what they look like for 90 minutes instead of course we only look like that for our first half. Um, but yeah, I mean, but we did whatever we wanted to. Uh, they tried to stay well organized, and we just broke them down so easily with runs from Rosicky, Santi and Alexis, and then Oxlade Chamberlain and Giroud really making a physical presence known right up top. Of course, with the fullbacks didn't really get. Monreal got forward more than Hector Bellerin did throughout the game. I think that was by design, to be honest with you, just because that even though Bojan is very dangerous, he can be dangerous. He didn't really make himself dangerous in this game. Like I said, Stoke City they just didn't look interested at all during the entire game. Um, the first goal by Lauren Koscielny, that was, if you really watch it, it was from a corner. The corner went short. Lauren Koscielny was actually the person who ran out, collected the ball, passed it back to Alexis Sanchez. Alexis Sanchez then he was patient. He waited. He could see that Lauren Koscielny went unmarked. The Stoke player just kind of fell asleep, and Lauren Koscielny was able to just smooth his way into the middle of the box, and then Alexis Sanchez put it right on a plate for him. I mean, that was a perfect cross, and that was the first goal of the game, and it was just kind of fun to watch even to watch the replay of the two players who were the mainstays of that goal. With Lauren Koscielny, getting out there, collecting the ball again, passing it back to Alexis Sanchez, and then the patience that Alexis Sanchez and Lauren Koscielny showed in that goal. They knew exactly what was going on. Lauren Koscielny knew exactly what was going on. He knew he was being unmarked, and that he could take his time and really get into the box, and of course that header was perfect. I mean, Begovic is, up until that point, Begovic made about like 2 or 3 saves, big boy saves, to really keep the game at 0-0, and there was no stopping that. I mean, Koscielny had all the time in the world. He had every angle that he wanted in that goal. Second goal by Alexis Sanchez, or I should say goal number 2 by Alexis Sanchez. Of course, he scored 2 goals today, but that was pure class. That was, again, you saw kind of like a 1-2 combination with him and Rosicky. They got a little lucky. Obviously, Sanchez tried to pass, and I think Nzonzi couldn't control the ball, and it came right back to Alexis Sanchez, but like within that, where Nzonzi couldn't control it, you could see what happens when you don't give up on a play, when you try to get the ball back immediately. And of course, Alexis Sanchez showed that. Came right back to him because Nzonzi couldn't control it. And of course, they did a nice little 1-2 combination there with Rosicky and Alexis Sanchez. And he found himself inside the box, a lot of space. Shawcross didn't have any idea, any clue of what was going on. I think Shawcross obviously thought that Alexis Sanchez was going to move more inside than he did, but then Alexis Sanchez just put a slingshot right near post, or left near post, I should say, and Begovic couldn't. He wasn't even prepared for that shot either, and he's one of the better goalkeepers in the Premier League. And he didn't even see that coming. It was just pure class. I mean, that's what a world-class player does. I mean, that thing was one of the goals of the week, obviously. I mean, that should have been, I think I watched the NBC's top 5 goals, and that was in there. I think that was number 4 or 5. But, it just came out of nowhere, to be honest with you, because you see some of the other goals that Alexis Sanchez scored this year, he's always trying to do like curlers and stuff like that. So that just came out of nowhere. And it was just a beautiful goal. It was just pure class. And, you can watch that goal over and over again and see all the different angles and what he did there, and how he set up the goalkeeper and even Shawcross to make mistakes and to not even see it coming. So it's just a fun goal to watch. Of course, the third goal with Alexis Sanchez as well was the set piece. It was right outside the box. Oxlade-Chamberlain had a bad challenge against him from Sidwell. That it was right at the edge of the box. I mean, it was a half a yard from inside the box. That's how close it was to even getting a penalty. It was a pretty stupid challenge to try to come in like that, especially when you're that close to the box, when you have that type of opportunity to give a PK away, where you just don't know your surroundings. But I thought it was going to go like top right corner. I thought that was like the only way, because it's too difficult. That's too close of a placement to get it over the wall and down again. You're talking about like probably like 18, 19 yards out. That's how close it was to the goal. So it would have been kind of impossible. It was either what Alexis Sanchez decided to do, or go top right corner, or even bottom right corner. He could have did either way, but he decided to go right into the wall. And of course, the wall, I don't know what Stoke City was thinking, but it parted like the Red Sea, and it had enough. It took a deflection, but it was on target. Going right at the goal right away, and it took a little bit of deflection. Of course, it had enough power on it to get past the wall to take a deflection and still be on target. And Begovic just couldn't handle it. Came off the post, and Begovic kind of, it was already going in regardless. But I know the commentators, Lee Dixon, was trying to make an argument that it could have been an own goal, but from the get-go, it was on target. Even after the deflection, it was on target. It was going to go in anyway, even if Begovic didn't even touch it. So another good goal from a set piece. Of course, Alexis Sanchez putting in into the back of the net. 2 goals, 1 assist on the game. Man of the match, obviously. Um, if you take his 2 goals and his assist away, it's pretty difficult to uh, pick a man of the match. To be honest with you, I mean, you could say Laura Kashoni with some of his defensive efforts. You could easily say Santi Cazzola just because he was all over the place today, defensively, attacking wise. He's just playing great. I mean, he's playing out of his mind right now. Rosicky played well as well. Um, you know, uh, Oxley Chamberlain played well as well. I mean, everybody played well today. I don't think if you gave anybody a rating, you could have went seven or lower on any of their ratings. To be honest with you, even Ospina, he made a couple decent saves. He was never really challenged all that well during the game, but when he was called upon to make a save, make a couple saves, he did. He looked comfortable back there. He looked confident back there. I love the chant for him at the Emirates. It's like, oh, Spina, every time he does a goal kick, or every time he does a kick after a save. That's pretty cool. That's something cool for a goalkeeper that he already he's only been playing maybe like 3 or 4 games for Arsenal already this season, and he already has a chant. I don't even know if Chesney has a chant, but that's something that he's got to feel good about. That the fans are behind him, the fans are supporting him, and that's pretty cool to see from the Arsenal fans almost right away. So it was just all around great 3 points, great win. This is with players coming back. Of course, Mesut coming back. Theo Walcott got into the game as well. I'm sure he wanted to get Aaron Ramsey in the game, but of course with Debussy's injury, Arsene wasn't able to do that. But if you look at Mesut Ozil, the pictures are out there. If you look on Twitter, there's side by sides of what he looked last season and then what he looks like now. It really does. I know the shirts are a lot tighter from Puma than they are from Nike, but you can see the difference. You can definitely see the difference. Even someone posted a picture. Most of them are from last season, to where no one's showing pictures of him in the beginning of the season to now. But there is one out there. I was gonna save it and put it up on here, but I just completely lost it, and I don't know. I'm not gonna go searching for it, but you can definitely see he worked on his upper body, his shoulders, his chest, even his legs. Obviously his legs are gonna get a little bit bigger, a little bit more muscular because of his knee injury. But you can see that he is bigger. Especially in his upper body, and that's what he needs. That's what he's going to need for this to play in the BPL, especially for long term. Because a lot of times last year, of course, a lot of it too is from the FA refs not protecting him. Of course, with him last year, there was a lot of nicks and knocks that he had last year that he just wasn't protected from. Even earlier this season, he wasn't protected by the FA refs. You see. Same thing's happening to like an Eden Hazard or something, and a foul is called right away. But when it came to Mesut Ozil, sometimes he goes down too easily too. But it does look like he did work on his body, and that's great to see. Even when he came onto the pitch, I was like, man, he does look different. Maybe it was just because of the fact that we haven't seen him play for 3 months. But at the same time, I was like, yeah, he did look noticeably bigger. Like he did hit the weight room. That he did put on some good weight, not bad weight, obviously. So hopefully that can push him forward. He still has that burst of pace. He doesn't have the blistering pace like the Ox or Theo or Danny Welbeck, but he does have pace to him. That he has short spurts of quickness, and you saw it in a couple instances today where he showed that today. So obviously the knee is back to full health and it's 100%. But it's just great to see him back on the pitch. It was something that we've been dying to see with Alexis Sanchez and Theo Walcott. Obviously him not playing for 3 months and not being match fit, you could see, early on he just wanted to get a few touches before he was able to really, start really passing the ball. He almost looked nervous too. Obviously, you've been gone for that long, that you might be a little bit nervous. You might be a little hesitant to go full, like full 100%, especially coming off a knee injury. But again, it's great to see those guys back. It's great to see that we have options on the bench, at least attacking options to bring onto the pitch. But again, we need that defensive help, obviously, in this transfer window. Kind of piggybacking into that, because I don't want to put this on too much longer. I mean, it's going on 25 minutes already. But there's a rumor out there that Sissoko from Newcastle United wants to come to Arsenal. There's a lot of different rumors that Arsenal put a £9 million bid in for him. There's a rumor that Newcastle United want £25 million for him, which is ridiculous. There's also a rumor that PSG is going after him as well. And I don't understand the interest from Arsenal. It's kind of one of those, it's like Loic Remy. Arsene Wenger had so many opportunities to sign this player multiple times, even before he came to Newcastle a couple of years ago. So it's kind of like, okay, why doesn't he sign him? Why didn't he sign him prior to this? Of course, he's a French player. Of course, he has his connections in France, obviously, with French players and with managers and in youth leagues and youth academies as well. So it's almost kind of like, why didn't he sign this player beforehand? But the concern I have is that Sissoko hasn't played the DM position since he came over from, I can't even remember what team he came in for. I think he was either Marseille or Lille. I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong. But even with Newcastle United, he's been playing. He started out as a CM, and now he was playing on the wing. Even at the World Cup, he was playing more of a winger than he was as a DM. And do we really need that at Arsenal right now? Do we need another CM? We don't, because we have enough coverage over there now. We don't need another winger, obviously. What we need is a DM. We need a classic DM, and Sissoko just doesn't fit that profile right now. If you go back into his career, yeah, he used to be a CDM or a DM. So it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. I think it might be just a rumor of a rumor. It might be Sissoko trying to reach out just because Newcastle United is a complete shit show right now, without a really definite manager. And like I said in my last episode, that whole club is just in disarray right now. But it might be a Serge Aurier all over again, where a player is trying to reach out to Arsenal and say, I want to come there. Well, that might not be the case. Obviously, it might be just a rumor, just to start a rumor. It might be just a player trying to get himself out of their club. So who knows what's going on with that. There was also another tweet today by Tony Lean saying, quoting this, the same person who told me Alexis Sanchez would be signed by Arsenal now says Arsenal is unlikely to bring in William Carvalho in January. Of course, that's kind of cause for concern that we're not looking at. It says also it was a 1 of 2, and then here's a 2 of 2. It says also that Arsenal is quite relaxed about the window, and but would like to bring in a defensive-minded player in, but not for huge money. So again, that's the Arsenal way. Obviously, with whoever Tony Lean's source is, as far as saying that they won't burn in a DM. Obviously, that's because of Coughlin. That's obviously because of Arteta's coming back, and that's obviously because Flamini's back as well. And it could be a possibility that there's just nothing out there to buy. Of course, I'm using that excuse for Arsene Wenger, but as far as myself goes, like I said, money talks. We have the money to purchase a player like William Carvalho, purchase a player like Sami Khedira, purchase a player like Morgan Schneiderlin, to purchase a player possibly even like a Sev Bender from Dortmund, who is even a Gundogan from Dortmund as well, because again, Dortmund's season isn't going as predicted. Um, so there might be a little bit of a fire sale this summer, especially with Dortmund, if they can't afford their players after this season. Because if they can't get back in the top four, which seems unlikely, they might be having a little bit of a fire sale this coming summer. But again, money talks. We have the money to go out there and get a specialist at the DM position, but it obviously doesn't seem like we're going to be doing that. Now with the Debussy injury, we definitely need another center half. That's just there's no excuse that you can make for me if he doesn't go out and get a center half, even on loan. Even on loan, I want someone to be coming in. I want someone to come in even on loan, if it's a center half, because we need coverage there. We can't expect Lauren Kashoni to, if we could predict the future, and an angel came down from the heavens and says Lauren Kashoni will make it for the rest of the season, no matter how many games he plays, no matter how many minutes he plays. Per Mertesacker will survive the rest of the season. Same with even Colum Chambers playing at the right back position, or even the center half position. But that doesn't happen. We can't depend on that type of shit. We can't depend on hopes and dreams anymore. So we need to have someone coming in, a central defender coming in. Of course, there is a rumor too that Winston Reid is unlikely to come to Arsenal. So who the fuck is out there? Who the hell can we go out there and get? Obviously, it's just we need someone to come in, and it's going to be another head scratcher. If we don't make it into the top four, it's playing like last year. Last year we needed a striker and possibly another a winger to come in during the transfer window last season. During the January window to hold our position at the top of the table. That didn't happen. We ended up losing the league because of it, because of all of our injuries, because we ran everybody into the ground. Seems like we're doing that again. Right now we're currently 5th. Southampton, they just don't seem like they want to go away. They look like they're us, or even like Liverpool from last year, without the goal scoring threats, like a Daniel Sturridge or even the Biter. But they just don't. They're just not going away. They're well organized. They're well managed. I was watching the Manchester United game today, and they just don't want to go away. Period. We can't depend on them faulting. We could probably maybe depend on Manchester United faulting, but we just can't depend on those guys faulting. We have to strengthen. We have to get in at least another defender to provide coverage. And if we don't do that, and if we do get a mass of injuries, we're not going to be getting top four. I'm thinking, this is what everybody else is thinking, because we're looking, it's Southampton. We're not giving them the benefit of the doubt. We're just thinking they're Southampton. They're just a mid-table club. Even like with the West Ham earlier in the season, they're just like, well, they're just a mid-table club. They'll falter at some point, and West Ham is kind of faltering now. But Southampton isn't. They're not dipping. And to be honest with you, there's 17 games left? Something catastrophic might have to happen to them for them to falter, to be honest with you. They don't play us ever for the rest of the season. They don't play Manchester United again for the rest of the season. They have to play Chelsea and I think Man City, and that's it, out of the top four. So where are they going to falter? Because the way they look right now, they can be there at the end of the year. So who are we going to depend on to falter? Who are we going to? Because they're only in 2 competitions. They're in the FA Cup, I think, unless they got knocked out already. And then, of course, the Premier League. That's it. They can rest their players. They can be like a Liverpool last year, where they don't have to worry about European football. Of course we do. Of course we got Monaco on the 25th of February. We got the FA Cup tie to Brighton at the end of this month. So there's opportunities for us to get a knock or two, or get an injury or two, or get more injuries. So we need to strengthen in some way, somehow. And we just can't depend on, just because of attacking players have come back, that we're going to start scoring 4 or 5 goals a game, which would be nice. Of course, we have Manchester City coming up next week, which is going to be, it's going to be a tough game. Obviously, uh, it's going to be a different game than it was from last year because there's no Yaya Toure because he's at the African Cup of Nations. It's going to be really different with Ferrandino and Fernando holding down that midfield. And but they got Aguero back supposedly, and then Dzeko's coming back supposedly. So it's going to be a different game, but it's a game that we can win. With Coughlin playing as good as he is, this is going to be where you're going to find out, can he play against the big boys. Because that's why we're probably not going to sign a DM, because of Coughlin. Because of, then we have Flamini, and then we have Arteta as coverage, which is, again, it's a head scratcher, I know. But again, that's probably the thought process of Arsene Wenger, unfortunately. But yeah, again, this is getting on too long, and I'll just end it here, and I'll get into the Manchester City game later on in the week. I'll post another video on that, another episode, to talk about it a little bit more in depth, because there's a lot that needs to be talked about going into this game, because it's a huge ass game. To get 3 points from that game would be great. But again, I'll do a video on it sometime this week and talk about a little bit more in depth, and talk a little bit more about the transfer window as well. But yeah, that'll be it. Have a good week. Enjoy the 3 points. These fucking rugby assholes. I can't even express of how much I hate Stoke City, and they're right up there with Tottenham of how much I hate their players and the style they play. It's just disgusting football. It's not football. It's just another form of they're just pieces of shit, to be honest with you. But yeah, I'll end it here, and I'll talk to you guys later.